I'm going to take a little longer today because I got a lot of things that I've written down that I wanted to say, and this is how long this video is going to be. I don't at this moment, but I got a load of stuff. I got some things, and had a bit of a rough day today. I spent I think 35 or 45, no, not 40, 40 minutes waiting at the orthodontist's office. Is that a thing in English? Where they work on teeth. I had an appointment at 11:40, and it took, I think, until 12:20 before we the guy had time for so. Which is a pain in its own right, but I remember having a conflict with with a previous dentist once who forced me to pay for an appointment that I'd allegedly missed, but I hadn't. They'd canceled on me. They called me 10 minutes in advance and said, "Oh, you've missed your appointment." I said, "No, it's in 10 minutes. I can still make it." I had forgotten it, but I could have made it. No, they said it's no use. So, and then they billed me for half the amount of the thing that they were planning to do on me. So ever since then, I left that fucking dentist right there and then. So I don't like being kept waiting. I hate waiting. Anyway, that's my day. So I thought I'd make it right and just show you some stuff I got. I wrote down a list, so if I look that way, I'll be looking at the list. So one of the things that I really am happy with is something that I bought in Japan. Actually, from Hit Japan, which is an eBay seller from Japan. Buying stuff from Japan isn't as easy as it seems, because buying from a seller actually in Japan from a Japanese website is nearly impossible. eBay doesn't seem to be a thing in Japan. They have sites, but it works a little bit differently, and there are several ways to get stuff from Japan. You can have sort of a Japanese post office box, so that you can sort of have your stuff shipped there, and then they ship it to your home address, which can be anywhere in the world. But there are also other ways that I've heard people say, but Hit Japan is one of those Japanese sellers who are on eBay, and you can find the stuff on eBay and buy stuff. And I saw one of these. This is a NegCon, or I've heard people say NegCon, or controller, and it's meant for the PlayStation 1. It's made by Namco. It's an analog controller. And the thing is, it does this, right? This is like your left and right analog movement. It's a very well-built controller, meant for the PS1. It has a D-pad. It has a start button. It has analog A and B buttons that go down the farther you press them, the more they mean. There's a 1 and 2, and there's also an A and a B, and there are 2 bumpers. And then there's this movement thing. This controller, I bought this for about a tenner. They go for up to 40, but if you look, then this one was supposed to be yellowed, but the Japanese, they think something is crap when we think it's still brand new. So this was in very good nick, and it came very quickly, and I can see that it's used, but it's not so bad. In fact, this controller is mentioned in the manual of Wipeout. So it seems to have been made by Namco for games like this, and the Wipeout team said, "Hey, okay, we'll include it in our manual." And it works it works very well in Wipeout, and that's what I bought it for, because Wipeout is a lot easier when you can do this. Otherwise, Wipeout steering is, I think, with the D-pad. and you can use the air brakes a little bit to break out the end of your vessel. But this is a lot easier. The good thing is, I'm going to put this down. The good thing is that I have it connected to my PS2 Slim, which also plays PS1 games. So I got that. I was bidding on one that went, and I missed it. But then I had another look and I found another one. Story's not that great, but the controller, I'm really happy with the controller. It works very well. It's a quality thing. You can feel that it's good quality. So that's cool. That was number one. Oh, I got a load of pickups. I got a load of pickups, but I'll block them together. There's this new channel that I'm watching, Demetori V. He's Belgian. I have 2 Belgian channels now that I'm following. They're really good. But one of these guys has a way of showing pickups, and he cuts out all the dead stuff, so you just see him holding up a game and naming it. Bang, 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 bang. It goes really quickly. I really like that. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do all my pickups then in one sort of go. Okay, this is one thing. I'm watching Carl's stream, Woodlin. Carl. And he's pretty serious about streaming. And Carl has always been critical about money making on YouTube, but he's switched around, and he streams very regularly, and there's a group of people. This is exactly how it sort of meant to work, I think, Twitch. There's this group of people who drop in on Carl streaming while he's playing games, and we have a little chat amongst each other and with Carl, and it's all fun. And all of a sudden, I was there when Carl was making a bit of money. People were donating, and this whole new terminology, new to me. Let's make a dono train, like a donation train, where someone donates and then group pressure makes that the rest donates as well. I didn't donate. I felt the pressure, and that made me not donate. Not that I think that Carl doesn't deserve it, but it's just not a thing that I want to do. You know, it's good though that it works, because I know Carl will spend it on games, and I know that he has, and he's spent it on the wrong game, but that's the way it works. But that made me think, because it reminded me of a video that I was watching. This whole money thing is like a continuing theme, and I'm sort of investigating within myself, why at one point it pisses me off, and on the other, in another moment, I don't care so much. So it's not the money making itself. I don't mind people making money in the way that they do, but then I'm watching LGR's video, right? LGR has, and he does this every year. LGR's Lazy Game Reviews. Clint Bassinger. Clint's a nice guy. He seems like a nice person. He's friendly in his voice, and it's nice to watch. It's like a warm shower, basically. And then once a year he makes this video where he recommends like a bunch of games off GOG. And he starts out his video by saying, "Nobody's paying me to say this." And it's a little, where's this going? Nobody's paying me to say this. Oh, okay, why do you say that? And then he goes on, "This is my list of GOG games, and if you buy them, and then I make money, and you make, profit, whatever. Money, money, money." All of a sudden, I'm listening to a sales pitch. And I couldn't watch the video. I stopped watching, and I haven't watched it. Even though the games, he has all the games, and they're probably good games. But I'm listening to a sales pitch, and that's when it hit me. It's the same with this. I wrote them down. Oh, like the boogie to the almost 3,000. The big guy. I have nothing against the guy. He's probably a nice person, but I like, and that's the point of my story, I like to have like a personal connection with people. If I go to a marketplace, or I go to a car dealer, or any other kind of place where people are selling stuff, I know what I'm getting into. I'm not going to get to know these people. These people have a sales pitch, and they're going to fire it off at me. And I dislike that. Except when I'm ready for it. When I'm going to buy a kitchen or going to buy a new bed, you go into a store. There's a person there. Yeah, the person doesn't matter so much. It's what he's selling. And YouTube for me is about the people. I actually watch the YouTube for the YouTuber. And this whole sales pitch thing gets in the way. Because right at the moment when someone starts selling me stuff, to me, it sounds like things you wouldn't say when you're having a normal conversation. If I'm talking to my to my cousin or to my brother, and all of a sudden in the middle of the conversation he starts selling me his TV, I'll know it. And I'm no longer talking to that person. I'm listening to a sales pitch. And that's exactly the thing that I don't like. And it's not always so clear. Jan Beta is an example of an excellent YouTuber. He has a great channel. He does interesting stuff, hardware repairs, even though it's just cap replacements. We don't care. It's interesting. He opens the stuff up. He has a look, and he takes out his soldering iron stuff, and he makes it work again. And it's nice to watch, right? But when he starts saying, "Oh, but I have this video that is exclusive for Patreon people," my dick gets limp. I don't like that kind of stuff, because I'm being sold something, and I don't like being sold something, especially when I have the feeling that I'm in touch with someone. Or that sounds a bit strange, but you know what I mean. There's people out there that I can talk to Carl. I can talk to a bunch of people, and I can ask them about how their day was, and about non-crucial stuff that doesn't have to do with selling, just personal interest. And I don't. Well, I've discovered in myself that I have an ear for sales pitches. When I hear a sales pitch, I'm out. If you want to sell me something, you better just say up front, "I want to sell you this," and I can get myself ready. And okay, you start your sales pitch. So that's what ticks me off every time money and YouTube are involved, because I'm in it for the people and not for the money. Blah. That's what I wanted to say. Talking about Woodland, though, something else interesting happened there. Woodland has taught me about gaming. And he's probably not going to expect that from me, but it's true, because gaming for me was always, from the start, more about what you call Twitch gaming, arcade games. Quick, short bursts, you do your best, you get frustrated, and the game is over. And it's either for the points or for how far you get, but either one of those. Not about hour-long 2 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours in a row playing a single game. It's always been short for me. And on the other end of the spectrum are, of course, RPGs that are, in my mind, when I first learned about RPGs, they were slow and a lot of story, and you have to click through a lot of dialogue, and then you walk around, and then the walking around is interrupted by these random battles, turn-based, I attack him, he attacks me. That was excruciating for me. I couldn't do that. I played the original Final Fantasy the other day, and I'm better at that, but it's still slow to me. But the action RPG genre is a bit more interesting. You can actually, I've seen Carl play through a couple of games like Sound of the Deep, was that Song of the Deep, and Cat Quest. You know, nice games, not particularly exciting, but they were games that you start with, you know, at level 1, and you pick stuff up, and you level up, and you can take on stronger enemies, and as you progress through the game, you get better and stronger, and you find new abilities and all that kind of thing. And actually, I mean, this may sound strange to most of you, but to me, coming from that pure arcade mindset, that was interesting to see. And possibly, I haven't tested this yet, but possibly, I mean, it's made me understand more about gaming. It actually looks more interesting, you know, because what used to put me off at the start, like for instance, Final Fantasy 1, my entire team in Final Fantasy 1 was dead after 3 battles. So like you start in a town, you walk outside, and boom, you're in a battle, and boom, you're in a battle, and boom, you're in a battle, and everyone's dead. And I thought, you know, that normally I would have thought, you know, forget it, this is not my game. But now I'm thinking maybe I should have health potions on me, or because I chose weapons and armor, but that's not enough, probably. You know, the point is that you think about how you progress, because I know as soon as you start leveling up, you start getting stronger and stronger. Another good example of that is Heroes of Ruin on the DS. Now, the DS is not a system that is good for action RPGs, open world. I mean, I'm not counting Pokemon, because I'm not a Pokemon. Never played a single Pokemon game. Doesn't appeal to me. Maybe that's wrong. I don't know, but maybe I would like it if I tried it, but I haven't. So, but Heroes of Ruin is is sort of one of a kind on the 3DS, and I played through that game. So I had a save game, and I was at this first like boss thing, and it would kick my ass all the time. Now I went back to it, and I beat that boss, and I've leveled up, and it's a lot like Diablo, basically. You level up, you collect stuff, you wear stuff that is stronger, and you discard stuff that is less strong and doesn't help you along. So, and I've actually progressed. I'm at the end of Act 1 of that game now, which I think is pretty good for me, because I stuck with it. You know, it's so I've been playing a lot of Heroes of Ruin, which is it's kind of samey. You know, the dungeons are basically all the same elements, just put together differently, and but you know, that's what fits in the 3DS. I'm checking the little timer, because I gotta have a cut in the video in 3 seconds. Hold on. So that's the first 20 minutes gone. So that's a thing, and as my screen goes off. I made a couple of new friends in the chat of Carl's stream, because this still going back to watching Carl play Cat Quest and all that. And one of the guys that I got to know is Chris, and Chris has sent me stuff, so that'll be in the pickup section, which will come up. I'll probably put that at the end. But Chris is a new friend. Hey, Chris, if you're watching this, and he sent me a box of stuff, and I'm gonna show this. I like that. You know, Chris tells me something about himself, and I tell him something about myself, and you sort of get to know a person. That's, you know, when that thing that happens that makes it so that when you meet someone in real life, you have the feeling that you've already met them for 80%, and the last bit is just the last 20% of the actual physical meeting. I like that about the social media, that we call it. As we're talking about games, I finished Rez Infinite. Now, you know Rez. Rez is a game on the PS2. It's kind of a weird on-rails shooter, and stuff comes flying at you. It's a rhythmic shooter, so the thing is like a nice Jeff Minter kind of pumping music, and when you shoot, it actually, you shoot in the rhythm of the music, and you actually make the music. It's a bit of a weird environment, you know. It's a dark background, but stuff comes flying at you from all around, which would make a perfect environment for VR, which is what Rez Infinite is. Rez Infinite is, I think I paid maybe 15 to 20 or 10 or something in that range on Steam, which is Rez in VR. Which I thought, you know, with this whole new, I'm going to stick with games, I'm going to level up, I'm going to put more time in games like this, I started playing Rez Infinite. Little did I know that it's only 5 levels, and I finished it really, really quickly. So, kind of a bummer. Almost not worth the money. I mean, it's a very psychedelic experience. It makes no sense at all. You get stuff flying everywhere. You shoot stuff. But doing it in VR is really cool. Basically, you just point with your head at stuff and hold the fire button. So it's very easy. I don't even think you can get hit, actually. I think I finished every level at 100%, which is so it's not hard. Still, I think it's worth it, even as sort of a prelude to Polybius, which this week Jeff Minter has mentioned again. I mean, I already know that there's a PSVR version of Polybius. If you're into that kind of psychedelic shooter music thing, then definitely check out Polybius on the PS4. Play it in PSVR if you can. But it is also coming to PC. It's going to be released on Steam, and Jeff Minter has mentioned it again in his Twitter stream, in between all the morning sheep moments that he always does, which I always miss for some reason, but then I'm not very interested in sheep eating cookies. But I am interested in Polybius, and he said something about, okay, I have to finish all the obligations that I have. I'm not particularly sure. I think that had to do with Tempest, or T4K, is that what it's called? I think that's what it's called. But when that's done, it's gonna go on Steam, Polybius, I mean, and I'm definitely gonna buy that, because that's like Rez Infinite on steroids, with 8-bit influences, and it's not as short. In fact, it's a pretty beefy game as far as I know. So, really happy to hear about that. Oh, and then another thing. Now we're talking about 8-bit. The first time that I went to Manchester, there was a guy, I think his name is Jamie. He gave me his business card. RGCD. They are one of the publishers next to Cytronic who publish Commodore 64 games, but primarily on cartridge, I believe. And they do downloads as well, that kind of thing. And I met him there, and he was showing off Luftrausers, which was a game that I hadn't heard of. It's a game by a Dutch publisher or creator, Flambeer, Flamebear, basically. Luftrausers, it's on PS4, but I saw it there running on a Commodore 64, and I was so amazed by that. I didn't know the game, but when I saw it, I thought, wow, or perhaps I had bought the game slightly ahead of going to Manchester, and I played it on the PS4. I think I saw a review of it somewhere, and I saw it on the Commodore, and I was blown away. I thought, how can a game like that be programmed on the Commodore? Again, by a Dutch person. I don't know his name. Sorry, but I played that like way back. It's I think it's 3 years ago that I played that on the Commodore 64, and in my mind that sort of made me connect the dots, but in the wrong way, because I thought I had Luftrausers on the Commodore 64. Turns out that I don't, because it's been released on the Commodore 64 now, like recently. It's definitely I bought it, but I bought a download because RGCD, they publish again, on cartridge, and which is pretty expensive. But Luftrausers, it's called Luftrausers with a Z. That's the Commodore 64 version, and it's definitely worth your attention. You can buy it at itch.io, and you can pay anything you want, basically. But it's definitely worth supporting the developer here. I did, and it's a really nice game. If you don't know Luftrausers, it's sort of a 1942-ish kind of game, like you're a little airplane, but is like thrust control, and you have gravity. So if you don't do anything, your plane just drops. But you have different power-ups, and you have different missions. You have to hit the ships and hit the planes and all kinds of stuff. It's really well programmed, and there's like intermittent sessions where you can like spend some money on your plane and get a better engine or get a better weapon. It's really cool. Luftrausers has my recommendation. Now my battery is going dead, but I'll put a new one in. Yeah. Okay, well, let's do some space stuff. Want to do some space stuff? There's been some space news. But, if you're sort of hip to the space news, then this will not be new at all. But if you're not, then maybe it's nice to hear. You remember Voyager, the first human-made interstellar ship? We sent that off with a bunch of information on how we exist on Earth, and it had like a dish, and it had thrust engines to keep it going and to adjust the course and blah blah blah. And that thing has been going on for ages, and it's now actually an interstellar thing because it's left our solar system. And after I don't know how many years, I think it was after 27 years, they said, well, the thrusters that we used to use to correct the course, like they sort of give these puffs, they didn't work anymore. They've been out there for so long, and there's just end of life, basically. But there are other thrusters. But those are the thrusters, I think they were used to blast it off out of the Earth's orbit. I don't know. But they hadn't been used for 27 years. And NASA used these thrusters to correct the course as it is now. And they did so successfully. So after 27 years, they just pushed a button. 20 minutes later, the puffs fire on the thing, and it corrected its course again. It's still working. It's still out there. So I think that's pretty cool that we have an interstellar object which is going out and it's coming from us. That brings me to the other interstellar visitor that we've had. But this is just a bunch of rock. Like a rock 400 meters in length, 40 meters, I think, in every other direction. So basically it's like a big needle. And you'd like to think that it goes like this through space. It doesn't, because it's rotating around its small axis. So it's actually tumbling. We discovered this thing as it left our solar system. But its makeup, like its shape, and we get boulders, right, in our neck of the woods. And this thing was like this long needle. And by the trajectory, if you know Scott Manley, he did a very technical talk about it. If Scott listens to this, you know, Scott, I know that all this jargon means nothing to you, but after 5 minutes of hearing you talk about all those hard to understand words, man, I lost you. But I do understand that you can look at a trajectory, and if it has a certain shape or value, you can sort of prove that it didn't come from our solar system, but actually from another star, which is, think about that. You know, the distances between the stars are amazing. That thing must be billions of years old, and it cracked loose from a moon or from some collision or whatever, and it just got thrown out of its own solar system. And it traveled. It just traveled. Nothing happened to it. Cold, dead, and it traveled for billions and billions of years, and it just happened to pass by us now. It just came in, and it flew out again, so we did nothing to it. We couldn't visit it. It was too fast, and it was gone before we knew it. So I think that's interesting. That's an interesting thing to mention. Yeah, there was some colliding galaxies. I saw that. I think it was Hubble that actually saw the traces of galaxies that had collided, but were. I should have. It's too long ago. For those galaxies to have collided, they must have collided much sooner than we expected possible. So these galaxies were already old enough to like go into this collision mode, apparently. But galaxies colliding, can you imagine that? I mean, there's not much news about that. There's something new that Hubble discovered, like amazingly huge galaxies and old, whatever. Okay, so that's not so interesting, but the other things were, right? At least I thought so. Yeah, let's go back to games that I've been playing. I've been playing some pinball games. I've been playing Pinball Arcade. Basically, it comes with one table, which is Arabian Nights, which I've been playing. I bought a Star Trek table, and I'm actually looking for a pinball simulator that has the Hook table. That is a table that I have actually played, and I really liked, but I don't think that it exists in a computer game. There's like the Addams Family and Ghostbusters, which I like as well. You know, it's fun that they take all the original samples from the movies and put them in these games, and that sort of makes the that makes the pinball games interesting to me. I really am enjoying I notice that I keep coming back to the pinball games. I've been playing them on Mac, which is crap. It's laggy and it doesn't look as good, and I installed it on my PC as well. It looks 10 times as amazing, and it actually works. So I don't know what's wrong with games on Mac, but that I've never had a good experience playing games except maybe Minecraft. All right. Well, you know, we can go to the pickups now. I think I've got 4 minutes on this run, and then I'll put in a new battery, and we'll do the pickups. That gives me just about enough time to say 2 things. Dave Price is doing painmass again, 12 days to painmass. I did a little video for him. I don't know when he's going to show it, but that may be something to look out for. Painmass is about playing really bad games in the 12 days or in 12 days leading up to Christmas. They're really bad games, and Dave plays them with his friends, and it's painful to watch. So that's the thing. And then he's going to do something. I think he compiles videos that others have sent him. I think that's how it works. I can't remember. I do one every year. I did one this year, so check that out. Infected Flinch is Dave's channel. Also, there's this game that I gotta... No. Let's do that in the pickups. I got a nice fail story. Yeah, let me handle the camera, and I'll be back. Right. Let's get this guy out of the way first. I was watching Owen Labasu77, and he said, this game is one of my favorite shooters on the Mega Drive. And I have a few games for the Mega Drive, not so much, or not so many, I should say. But I was on this because it looked good, and I've been playing it, and it is actually very good. It's called Genoeg, or it's almost Dutch for genoeg, which is enough. So I'm just gonna call this enough. It's a shooter. My copy didn't come with a manual, so I don't know anything about the shooter, about the story. But it's a guy with wings, and I've noticed that it doesn't start off very difficult. It sort of slowly ramps up the difficulty, which I felt was very enjoyable, and it looks very good. And the music, I don't know if you can hear it, but I can hear it through the headphones. The music is interesting, not boring, and perhaps memorable. But I should play some more of this. So genoeg, genoeg, enough. I bought Elite for the NES, and I know that I have the retro Pi solution with NES, but A, it has a German version of this game, and B, it doesn't work. So I thought this would be a nice addition to my Elite collection, because I am an Elite nut. My copy didn't come with anything, just this, so I had to print off a manual, which you really need because there's too many buttons to remember. And it's going to mean that I'm going to have to connect my NES to play it, but also I'm going to look for another copy of this game, like another ROM, which hopefully will work, but I think this game only is like a PAL exclusive game, published by Imagineer, for the different language areas, of course. Mine is a French version, but it does have English language. Monster Madness Grave Danger for the PS3. Anytime I get a twin stick shooter for the PS3 is worth picking up, so I picked this up. I haven't played it though, but I watched videos and it was recommended to me. I'm gonna play this. I really shouldn't say anything, but that wouldn't make any sense. open world RPG before I was actually into them, but this is one of the things that sort of keeps me intrigued. And I had I played an illegal copy of this, and I have this database where I keep the games that I buy and sell and give away and whatnot. And I saw one good night, I saw this game for 30 euros, which is amazingly low because this goes for a lot of money usually. And I thought, oh shit, fine. I forgot that I was looking for this game, so I bought it. And it took a really long time to get here, and I was sort of thinking that I was being robbed, because I had paid the money, and the lady or the guy or whatever didn't respond to my questions anymore for a while, and it like took a good week. This is in the same country, but it was Christmas time already, so it came. And when it came, I was sort of glad, and I say sort of because in the meantime, I'd taken the time to actually... I checked the database. Do I have this game? No, I don't have this game. Let's buy it. So I bought it, then I checked my shelf, and I already had it. So I got 2 copies of this now. That's a waste of money. So I can sell this. It's still a good game. And don't say, oh, I can't read the text, because you just have to play it on component cables, and then it'll become readable. Still not great, though. But waste of money, because I already had one. Now, remember that I told you about Chris? I met Chris on Carl's stream. And Chris said, hey, don't you collect Commodore stuff? And I said, yeah. And he said, why don't you look at my Commodore games and pick out what you like, and I'll send it to you. And that's a very generous thing. So I said, yeah, go ahead. So he sent me a picture, and there were a couple of games I thought, if I could have those, that would be pretty cool. I play most of my games, in fact, all of my games on the Ultimate, so that I play electronic copies, but having physical copies of some games is sort of nice. Like, I bought the Elite version of the NES thing, and for that reason. So I said, I'd like those games. And he said, well, why don't you just take them all? And I did, and he sent me a box and of games, and I'm gonna show them to you, and I'm gonna read the note. Hey Wouter, hope these games get to you safe and sound. I hope you enjoy them. I will, and they did. All the best, and I hope you and yours have a Merry Christmas. Thank you. You as well, of course. But I already saw you with your brothers, I think, on a drinking binge or something. I don't know if that's true. And do I think Carl really thinks that he's a pro gamer? No, I'm pretty sure that's a front, and he just uses that as an excuse, or just to pump his own self-confidence, basically. Or do you think he's as crazy as he looks? Well, I won't answer that, because you already know the answer. Carl is funny. And he's crazy, yeah. So let's go. I'm going to show you all the games here, and I'm going to cut through them really quickly. MiG-29 Soviet Fighter. F-1 Tornado. BMX Trials. Power Pack with First Samurai, Creatures 2, Head the Ball, and Mission Impossible. Quattro Adventure. Vampire, Ghost Hunters, Super Robin Hood, and Dizzy. Just Dizzy. First Past the Post. Toolbox, the music system. Probably for making music. Toolbox, the image system. Probably for making images. Mastertronics, Quest for the Holy Grail. After the Monty Python thing. Mad Games, The Last V8. Now, there's a good game. Kickstart. This is one of the games that I thought, I gotta have this one. Kickstart 2. Flash Gordon, another Mad game. Daley Thompson's Super Test. Cave Mania. The Way of the Exploding Fist. Now this game, I didn't think this was possible on the Commodore 64. This is such a good game. World Series Baseball. Barry McGuigan. World Championship Boxing. Power Pack with Warlock, Viz Censored. Ooh, it's a Houston title there. Shockwave Rider and Sunstar. Ooh, yeah. Paperboy. I'm against isometric games, but in this case, a big case. I think it's 2 tapes. No, it's 1 tape and a manual. Really cool. Paperboy. And when I saw this, Dragon's Lair, I had Return or Escape from Singe's Castle, which is Dragon's Lair 2 on the Commodore 64, on tape in a cardboard box. It's impossible to find. I've not found it, but when I saw this, I thought, oh yeah, please let me have this. This is amazing. Roland's Rat Race. Apparently, it's like Roland the Rat. I don't know. We didn't have him on TV, so I have no memories of that. Board of the Rings. Amazing. I haven't played this, but I will. And last but not least, Revenge of the Mutant Camels by Jeff Minter. Now, this is an ace. This is one of those games that I thought, I gotta have an original copy of this. This is really, really cool. So, let me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 25 games in one box. Chris, thanks a lot for those games. I think it's really cool to have them in my collection. So, thanks. Can't thank you enough. I'm gonna end the video because my throat is dry, and I'm gonna play some video games. So, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.